matters, right? Bipartisan support was had for this piece of legislation. And so, look, as the president said 10 years ago, as I mentioned, it comes down to a fundamental question of who would you love, who do you love, and will you be loyal to that person? This law ensures that it realizes for all person, and that's why so many faith leaders and religious traditions have advocated in support for this bill. So it has gotten support in a bipartisan way across the country in Congress during this time, right, where where people say we can't get things done. Here we have this piece of legislation that has gotten bipartisan support. Okay.
Thanks, Karine. On immigration, how concerned is the administration that there will be this unprecedented surge of migrants trying to come across the border once Title 42 goes away?
So look, as you know, as I know you guys are all tracking this, Secretary Mayorkas is in El Paso today, and he's assessing operations, and he's speaking to the workforce down there. He's also meeting with local officials who have been incredibly important partners as we rebuild our asylum system. The Department of Homeland Security is working to quickly decompress what we're seeing in the El Paso area, for example, and safety and efficiently screen and process migrants to place them in immigration enforcement proceeding. Over the last 18 months, DHS has deployed enhanced automated processing system, automated surveillance towers, rescue beacons, and additional personnel to the sector. In addition to that, CBP has deployed additional agents to support the sector. That's on top of the mobile processing units, medical screening personnel, and nearly 1,000 Border Patrol processing coordinators DHS already had deployed in the area. So look, this is something, again, the first day of the President's administration, he put forth a comprehensive immigration reform bill because he understands how important this is. We have taken action. We have given the Department of Homeland Security historic funding to deal with this very issue. And so we're going to continue to monitor this. Like as I mentioned, Mayorkas was down in El Paso to talk to local officials who have been great partners with us. And so again, we're going to do the work. We're going to be prepared, and we're going to make sure we have a humane process moving forward.
There are some lawmakers who are arguing that Title 42 should be extended somehow. Does the White House believe that's even possible?
So look, we are required by court order to lift Title 42 by December 21st. That is the court order that we have been given, and Department of Justice is going to lead that effort and what happens next. So I'm not going to get ahead of that. But again, this is a court order that we are following here.
I wonder if the White House is worried that the inflation data, which came out this morning, was leaked. There was big market movement about 2 minutes before it came out, and I'm just wondering how the White House has viewed that.
Yeah, I've seen that reporting. Look, I think we think that it's being a little bit. How do I say? It's I think there's too much weight being put into that, and how the market may have moved in a minor way. I don't really have much more to add to that, but I have seen the reports on it, and again, I think it's just being a little bit. We're looking into it a little bit too much, I think.
But is the White House and Treasury looking into it at all, or are you just not worried about it?
Look, I think that. I can tell you this: there were no leaks from here. I can tell you definitively, or at least I'm not aware of any leaks. And I know they were very strict security protocols to prevent leaks. But I think again, people may be reading a little bit too much into this, into some of the minor market movements. And so anything more, I would refer you to the Department of Labor.
Just to follow up on what Steve asked, we understand how the legislation was framed and will be signed by the president. Do you anticipate that this administration will go back, or the Democrats will go back and try to clean up the language in the legislation so it does not codify discrimination?
Look, what we're saying to you today is that this piece of legislation was done in a bipartisan, bicameral way, and it will make a difference for millions of Americans across the country. And we're going to celebrate this moment. We are going to celebrate the activists and the families who have worked very hard the last couple of decades to make this happen, and that is what's important, and that's what you're going to hear from this president today. Is there more work to do? Absolutely. There's always more work to do. You'll hear directly from the president. Certainly not going to get ahead of him at this time. But again, this is an important moment, a historic moment that we should not forget what it means to many, many millions of Americans across the country.
Quickly follow up on that. So he'll sign that today, and you say there's more work to do, or is he endorsing additional work to try and change?
I don't have anything to preview from here. As I said, there are extreme conservatives who are going to continue to attack this, who want to take away fundamental rights. We saw what happened just in June with the Dobbs decision, and so you should take that very, very seriously. But again, this is an important day, and we're going to celebrate this day with thousands of people who will be standing or sitting in on the South Lawn and hearing from Cyndi Lauper and the president and the first lady and the vice president. It's a really good day. It's a very good day.
I always give this a minute. Maybe you just get one or two more in before we address that.
Okay. Go ahead, Michael.
Thanks, Karine. There are reports that the administration is considering slashing the number of Cubans, Haitians, and Nicaraguans arriving at the border who would be eligible for asylum while creating new narrow pathways for those nationals to apply for some legal status here. The concern is this was a model that was actually designed by Stephen Miller in the prior administration. So is it true that the administration is considering this new structure for these foreign nationals?
So look, I was asked this question last week, and we don't have anything new to preview or to discuss at this time about any policy changes or any policy announcement. So don't have anything to add, but I have heard those reportings, and I did speak to this last week as well. Okay.
Oh, sorry. You go. Thank you.
I mean, I don't have much time, so.
No, a foreign policy question. I was wondering, there have been clashes at the border between India and China, and the tensions are pretty high between the two countries. Is this something the administration is concerned about?
So look, we are glad to hear that both sides appear to have quickly disengaged from the clashes. We're closely monitoring the situation. We encourage India and China to utilize existing bilateral channels to discuss disputed boundaries. Again, we're glad to see that there's been some disengagement on the clashes at this time. Go ahead. I think you allowed your colleague to go ahead of you, so go ahead.
Thank you. With Republicans about to take control of the House, are there additional economic policies the president wants to implement in the next couple of months?
Look, the president has always been clear. He is working for the American people, American families, to do everything that he can to lower costs, as we're talking about the inflation that we're currently seeing as being one of his #1 economic plans here. And then, as you've seen him act on gas prices, as you've seen him act on Inflation Reduction Act, we're going to see early next year the real effects of the Inflation Reduction Act as it relates to bringing down healthcare costs, energy costs. So the president's never going to stop. He's going to continue to do that work. He's always happy to work with Republicans and looking to reach across the aisle, as we've done with the bipartisan infrastructure legislation, as we've done with the CHIPS and Science Act, in order to create jobs and bring jobs back, manufacturing jobs back to companies back to the country. And so we're going to continue to do that. That will never end or never stop. Okay.
Is the White House whipping against Senator Bernie Sanders' War Powers resolution that's set for a vote in the Senate tonight?
Look, we've spoken to this before. I don't have anything much more to add. I know my colleagues actually was asked this question last week. Don't have anything more to really discuss or lean into on this.
Bernie Sanders just said that he's dealing with White House opposition to it right now, so just hoping for a confirmation of what all is going on there.
So look, I'll say this, we're in touch with members of Congress on this, thanks to our diplomacy, which remains ongoing and delicate. The violence over nearly 9 months has effectively stopped, as we have seen during this administration. The situation is still fragile, and our diplomatic efforts are ongoing, so we want to make sure that this is not impacted and the people of Yemen do not suffer, or that any of the progress we have made is overturned. Again, I really don't want to get ahead of the progress. We continue to work with Congress on this. We're having the conversations. I just don't want to get ahead of that.
It sounds like you might veto that if it comes to
I'm just not going to make a prediction. I'm certainly not going to make a prediction of what the president is going to do, is not going to do. We're having conversations with members of Congress, and I will leave it there. Thanks, everybody.